Hey, we're back. I don't know. It kicked me out of the app. It's so bizarre. So bizarre, but we're back. But anyway, I was finishing up what I was saying. Anyway, we're getting through these super chats. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notifications bell. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. So there we go. So, got some more super chats to get through. It's so annoying. YouTube is so obnoxious in so many ways. But if someone can take the link, and post it in the old stream, very, very annoying. Very, very, very annoying. But yeah, if someone can take the link and put it in the old stream, I'm going to keep going through these super chats because we got a lot to get through and it's getting late. I got work in the morning, so. All right. The Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks came together in Russia in 1917. Not exactly. During the Russian Revolution, so you had the Bolshevik Party, and they were the anti-war party. And when they demanded all power to the Soviets, there was a split in the Menshevik Party. And there was a grouping called the Left Mensheviks that supported the Bolsheviks and supported the Soviet government. The same with the Socialist Revolutionary Party. There was a split in the Socialist Revolutionary Party that split, and they were with the Bolsheviks. And so, yes, in a way it is, right? They unified around the program, and that both the Menshevik Party and the Left Socialist Revolutionary Party split to support the Bolsheviks. But you have to remember the bulk of the Menshevik Party didn't support the Bolsheviks. The bulk of the Socialist Revolutionary Party didn't support the Bolsheviks. But yes, there was, at the time of the Russian Revolution, in October of 1917, came time to declare the Soviet government. A big chunk of the Mensheviks came over to the Bolshevik, aligned with the Bolsheviks, and a big chunk of the Left Socialist Revolutionary Party, or the Social Revolutionary Party went with the Bolsheviks. So yeah, and it was, for the first couple of years after the Russian Revolution, you had three parties in the Soviet Union. They were the Left Menshevik Party, the Left Social Democrat, or the Left Socialist Revolutionary Party, and the Bolsheviks. Eventually, both of those parties became sources of counter-revolution. But yes, they built a united front, and that's one thing that, Lenin was always trying to explain. It's about putting forward your program and building a united front around your program. So Neil asked the question, and I assume that's what he was getting at, and I think he's right, that by using your program, that's a way to kind of cut through the party lines and the sectarianism. All right. In Australia, the far right is using the crisis to fill a void, says David Fox. I believe it. That's happening everywhere. As the as the left becomes more and more woke and obsessed with cultural issues, the right wing continues to fill a void. And while economics doesn't seem important to the left, the right very much appeals to people's economic suffering, and that's really dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. The left is dropping the ball, and, there you go. Expansion of the CPI of the next several years. Well, the next couple months, look, the John Brown Volunteers are headed to Texas. That's happening. December 1st, they'll be in Texas. And we'll be doing a Texas campaign with the John Brown Volunteers to support the organizing in Texas. After that, there will be a Chicago campaign, and then we're going to have a national gathering this summer, probably in July. I would assume we're going to have a national gathering for the Center for Political Innovation. It'll be longer than usual. I'm thinking like a week, perhaps, a week-long national gathering in July. And hopefully at that point, the John Brown Volunteers will have expanded enough that we can function in multiple states at the time. Right now, the John Brown Volunteer Brigade is small, right? The CPI, I'll just answer this other question too, right? Someone asked what's the difference between the John Brown Volunteers and the CPI. Center for Political Innovation is a think tank. Anyone can join, you got a wife, you got kids, you got a job, you just want to be part of it. You want to come to our conferences. You want to watch our stuff on the internet. You want to come to be part of our Zoom calls. CPI is for anybody. John Brown Volunteers is a full-time outreach team. It is people that have decided that they want to do this full-time, that they want to give their life to this. And it's not easy. It's quite difficult. And it's quite difficult to financially sustain. I'll tell you that much too. But it's people who have chosen to become, cadre, to make this their lifestyle, right? And they live together, and they go out and they spread the revolutionary message, and they build the CPI full time. They're cadre, right? They're full time activists, and we want to make that available to everybody, but it's not an easy thing to do, right? I mean, it takes a lot of hard work, and they have ways of getting by, and they pull their own weight, etc. But it's a difficult thing to do. That's the John Brown Volunteers. They're full time cadre, and it's I donate a lot to it. Other people donate, and they also have ways of raising money and supporting themselves, etc. And it's very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. But that's the John Brown Volunteers. And right now, the John Brown Volunteer group is not very big, right? It's less than 10 people. That's okay. I mean, by having them, we have way more than we used to have. I'll tell you that much. Right now, they're in the New York City area, but soon they will be dispatched to Texas because there's a lot of people, there's organizations in Texas and others who are sympathetic to us, who are having reading groups and such, and they're going to be in Texas supporting them. Next, they'll be in Chicago. And our hope is that by summertime, by the time of our national gathering, they will be big enough that we can send them to multiple parts of the country. But basically, yeah, if you're young, and if you don't have a job, or you've just been in school or whatever, if you want to become a John Brown volunteer, we'd like to make that happen. And right now we're in the process of expanding the John Brown volunteers. Anybody can't just be a John Brown volunteer. It's not a matter of filling out a form. We have to meet you. Well, thank you, Felonious Punch. We have to meet you. We have to try you out. And some people can't do it. There's been some people that have come around, have tried to be John Brown volunteers, and they just can't. They can't do it. Right? They're not up to the task. Right? Not everybody has what it takes. It is not easy. It is not an easy thing to do. But some people can do it. And if you're capable of doing it, you're in a life situation where that's what you want to do, by all means, contact us. We'd like to make you a John Brown volunteer. And we may not be able to plug you in immediately. It may take us a while to plug you in, and it may be that you're not up to the task, right? It's not everyone is able to do it. But if you're able to do it, we'd like to have you do it. We'd like to have cadre. And we have people who are doing it, right? Joey, Keaton, Kiki, some others, they're doing it. Some others, they're doing it. Lily did it all summer. And some people might be able to do it for a little while, and then they move on to something else, and that's okay too, right? There was somebody who did it, for a while, and they went back to college. That's cool, right? But if you're able to do it, we'd like to have you do it. But we have to check you out first, and there's some pretty strict rules about it. There can't be any drugs, mind you. No drugs. I mean, I'm sorry, but if we can't have any drugs in our John Brown volunteer houses, that's one thing we can't have in the housing. There's some pretty strict standards of conduct, right? That if you're going to be representing this organization as full time, you have to do it in a responsible way, and it's a lot of work. I'll just be honest. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. You can ask Keaton, you can ask Joey, you can ask Kiki, you can ask Lily what it's like. It's not a walk in the park. It's not, just, it's not just, easy. It's quite difficult. And some people have tried it and haven't been up to it. That's okay. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they can't do it. And that's okay. Not everyone can do this. I can't do it, right? I couldn't be a John Brown volunteer at this point in my life. At this point in my life, I've got a family to support. I've got a job. I've got obligations. I couldn't be a John Brown volunteer. So if you can't be a John Brown volunteer, you're in the same situation as me. And I'm great. I'm amazing. So you're fine. But it's not something everybody can do, but our hope is that the number of people that can do this, and I lived this way for a long time. Right? There was a time in my life where I lived this way, where I was a full-time activist. I'm not anymore. Now I'm a journalist, and I do all kinds of different stuff. But I was a full-time activist at one time, and it was a great time. It was a great experience. I grew amazingly well. I learned to speak better. I learned to interact with people better. I learned how the world works. I mean, it was a time in my life, in my 20s. I spent most of my 20s, I would say. I worked at the insurance company up until Occupy Wall Street. Then I started working, with the International Action Center full time. And, I learned a lot during those years. I made some mistakes, and I ultimately was very frustrated because, that was a dying organization I was working with. But I learned a lot. And largely the ideology and the worldview that has developed into the Center for Political Innovation is a result of what I learned during those years. And then I was able to travel and, so, if you're able, if you want to become a John Brown volunteer, if you feel like you're up to the task, you can reach out to us. Now, the Center for Political Innovation, that's for anybody. Anyone can join the CPI, right? As long as you're in agreement with our main points. Our formal membership, at this point, CPI is informal. Membership is informal. But starting January 1st, we're going to open the membership on the website. Everyone who's applied to join will get an email telling them to officially join. And joining will be a matter of filling out a form on the website, paying dues. You'll have to pay your dues. So starting January 1st, the Center for Political Innovation will have formal membership. That's being set up for January 1st. So CPI is for everybody. Everyone who can afford to pay dues can join the CPI. John Brown Volunteers is for people that are ready to be full-time and are ready to be cadre. My hope is that it can become the culture of the organization that as people grow up and have kids and all of that everyone, it's considered to be an obligation that everyone takes a year. If you're a young person, maybe a year before you go to college, you become a John Brown volunteer, and you take a year to do that. It should be considered, that as you become a respectable person, right, as a respected member of the organization, that you take at least some time to be a John Brown volunteer. But then again, some people just can't, right? I can't be a John Brown volunteer, but some people can. And if you can, we'd like to help you do it. And if you can't, you can't, and that's okay. We all contribute in different ways. We have Project 432, which is an explicitly religious wing of the Center for Political Innovation, oriented toward Christians. We are in the process of developing a feminist organization that'll be a women's wing of the Center for Political Innovation. That'll be women only. I won't be part of it because I'm not a woman. There'll be the women's only wing of the organization that'll be dedicated to women's issues. We're looking to build a coalition around Fusion City. We have different ways of expanding the Center for Political Innovation. The John Brown Volunteers are the cadre. They're the core of full-time people who are part of it. And you really need that in order to really have an organization. You need a core of people that are full-time, So yes, our notion of expansion is right now we're operating. At this point, we have CPI locals, and we have one in Texas. We have one in California. We have one in New York City. We have one in Chicago, and we have one in DC. And we are looking to not only have those locals expand, but we're looking to get locals in other areas. We have hundreds of people around the country who have filled out a form and applied to join the CPI. We have a Zoom call every Saturday, and everyone, great, Neil. We'll show you the dotted line. Everyone who has applied gets an email. An email goes out to hundreds of people every Saturday, inviting them to our Zoom call. So if you're one of those people, you're welcome to join our Zoom calls. And then, we have various committees, the tech committee, other groups in the CPI. And then, but starting on January 1st, the membership will be formal. You'll be a dues-paying member of the CPI. And at that point, we're incorporated now. CPI Publications is incorporated in the state of New York. We are a corporation. And at that point, you'll be a member. There you go. And we plan to expand. Now, obviously, right now, we're just kind of getting the organization functioning on a national level. That's where we're at the current moment, is we're functioning on a national level. But once we're functioning, we're going to plan targeted outreach. We're going to plan specific campaigns around Fusion City, specific campaigns aimed at libertarians, aimed at the synthetic left, targeted campaigns, to politically intervene. So there you go. Yeah. And we're becoming a real thing, I would say we're different. We're not a party. We're not a party. All right? We're not a new socialist group. We're not a new party. We have a different style of organizing. The main way we organize is to the broad masses of people. We bring our policy solutions. And to the advanced, we offer socialist education. And that's what we're about, right? That's our approach. To the broad masses of people, we go to them with our 4-point plan. We go to them with Lacan is, I don't know Lacan. We go to them with our 4-point plan. We go to them with Fusion City. We go to them with the Sandino-Zapata Economic Corridor. That's our approach to the broad masses of Americans, is our program, our policy solutions. And then our approach to people that want to get involved in the group is we offer socialist education. We offer classes on Marx, classes on Lenin, classes on economics, classes on the Soviet Union, classes on Xi Jinping and on Baathism and all of that. That's how we operate. So, it's a twofold educational project. That's what we're about, and we're expanding, and we're doing the best we can. Look, this is what I can do. Folks, I'm not saying that CPI is going to single-handedly transform the United States into socialism, because it won't. CPI is an educational think tank. When a movement to build socialism as a movement for socialism in the United States emerges, this will be a part of it. This is going to be a big part of the movement to build socialism, but it will be an educational think tank. It's not a labor union. It's not an entity, a political party that runs in elections, right? Nothing like that. And such entities will emerge, and other people are going to do them. Somebody in the labor movement will build labor unions that are socialist. Somebody who's a politician will run for office on a platform. And, other people will do other things. This is what we have decided we can do. The second verse of the Internationale. No more delayed by your No, that's not it. We want no condescending saviors to rule us from the judgment hall. We workers ask not for their favors. Let us consult for all. To make the thieves give up their booty, to free the spirit from the cell. Each must themselves decide their duty. They must decide and do it well. Well, that's what we're saying here. We are deciding our duty. There you go. All right, volunteerism. All right, well, there's two interpretations of that word. I believe anarcho-capitalists, or ANCAPs as they call them, were referring to themselves as voluntarists at some point. And they were arguing that basically they're against violence. It's the standard anarcho-capitalist, Stefan Molyneux. We're against violence. We're against force. Everyone should just, be free. It's this libertarian, we want a world without a government where no one's compelled to do anything. That's one definition of the term voluntarism. That's not the definition that socialist societies, right? All right. All right. Wrote it down. But the other definition of voluntarism, it's kind of like left adventurism. It's revolutionaries who, they do revolutionary activity not because of the impact that it will have, but because it makes them excited, right? It makes them feel revolutionary, right? They're volunteering to do it. It's like they're focused on not what the revolutionary movement needs, but what they feel like, right? And they talk about left adventurism. They talk about ultra leftism, like people who boycott elections. It's considered to be a form of ultra leftism, is that they want to do something really exciting. They want to and it's not really helping the revolutionary movement. So that's within Marxist circles. That's what it means. But there you go. All right. Someone said Venezuela, Belarus, and Nicaragua don't have 5-year plans and politburos. I think they do. I mean, they may not officially call it that, but they do have central planning. They have a huge amount of economic planning. And they do have people in the government, economic ministers, that make those plans. They may not call them 5-year plans. They may not call them politburos, but they do have people that are fulfilling that function within their government apparatus, absolutely. All right. Already answered JBVs versus CPI. Expensive property taxes. Yeah, it's awful, right? Working people are hit by these property taxes. Make the oligarchs pay. Make the oligarchy pay. Make the rich pay, right? Stop punishing small business owners. Stop punishing working people who own their houses, right? Make the rich pay. Make the bosses pay. All right. Undercurrents on the right. All right. Convert to the one true holy Catholic faith. I'm not Catholic. I'm Protestant. I'm Protestant, and I respect all religions. I respect all religious beliefs. I respect no religion. If you're an atheist, I respect you. So there you go. Um, undercurrents on the right. Glenn Beck is a Mormon, and he's tied to the Mormon apparatus. The Mormon Church, the Mormons, they have a lot of influence in FBI and CIA. They're Republicans generally, but they don't like Trump. And it's a current on the right, right? It's a big part of the right wing in the United States, and it's a big part of the apparatus, the Mormons. That's a big faction. There's people of praise, for example, that's the religious cult that Amy Coney Barrett, the new Supreme Court Justice, she claims to be Catholic, but she's actually part of this Pentecostal infiltration of the Catholic Church that's called People of Praise. There's Washington Times, which is the Unification Church. There's the Falun Gong, which is Epoch Times, and that's an anti-China. It's the China lobby, right? And what is his name? He comes out. He was part of the Trump. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but he was an advisor to Trump, and he was like an anti-China economics fanatic. And the Falun Gong, that's the China lobby, the obsessive anti-China folks, and their core are members of the Falun Gong. That's the Epoch Times. There are different currents on the right. At this point. I'm trying to think of different currents on the right. Libertarianism, the Cato Institute, Peter Navarro, that's who it is. Peter Navarro, Epoch Times, that's the China lobby. You have Washington Times, that's the Unification Church, that's Reverend Sun Myung Moon, that's South Korean intelligence. You also have, there's the Israel lobby, the Netanyahu wing of the Israel lobby, the Likudniks, they're a big factor on the right in the United States. There's, Salt Lake City, the Mormons, they're a big factor on the right. There's the frackers. The fracking companies are a big layer of influence on the right wing. The fracking companies, they fund PragerU. PragerU, the YouTube channel, gets a lot of money. They get a lot of money from fracking companies. There you go. Alrighty. Do you oppose mandates because the government should win the trust of the workers? Yeah, I think it's an issue of respect. I think the fact that so many workers have gone out to protest these mandates, there's been such widespread outrage, shows that on some level the government needs to just not do this, right? That if that many people are opposing something, right? It's one thing, when you have to compel people to do things for public health, that's one thing, right? But if there's that much opposition and that much outrage, and there's a lot of people who are vaccinated who oppose the mandates, at that point, the government needs to stop and say, what's the deal here? And that's my position generally. I'm vaccinated. I would never discourage anyone from getting vaccinated. But the fact that there's so much outrage among firefighters and EMTs and nurses, that makes me think that the government needs to go, wait a second here, and show more respect, I think. If there's that much distrust, there you go. All right, we're going to end this broadcast. A new upsurge in the struggle against U.S. imperialism is now emerging throughout the world. Ever since World War II, U.S. imperialism and its followers have been continuously launching wars of aggression. But the people of various countries have been continuously waging revolutionary wars to defeat their aggression. While the danger of a new world war still exists, the people of all countries must get prepared. Revolution is the main trend in the world today. While the danger of a new world war still exists, and the people of all countries must get prepared, revolution is the main trend in the world today. Good night.